You've heard it many times. You've read it in the comics. With great power comes great responsibility. But what if I told you Marvel didn't come up with this, and neither did Stan Lee? It actually comes from scripture. So in this first episode of Phrase Origins, we're going to trace Spider-Man's most iconic line all the way back to the Bible. We'll look at how Stan Lee used it, how it became Uncle Ben's wisdom, and then uncover the original verse that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. So stick around for the original saying in just a few moments. But first off, I just wanted to let you know what a big nerd I am for Spider-Man, for all things Spider-Man, as evidenced by a ton of my Spidey stuff here. It's just crazy of all the money and time I've spent throughout my life with Spider-Man stuff. But that being said, I remember the first time I read this iconic line in Amazing Fantasy number 15, Spidey's first appearance, and the power of this message probably didn't land between my ears as a 7-year-old then, but over the years reading it as an adult and then hearing it on countless television shows and eventually the movies, I think it finally made sense to me. And while I was researching famous quotes for this series, especially for this first episode, I thought one of my most favorite sayings and iconic sayings is this: with great power comes great responsibility. But this has to have an origin. So as I dug deeper, I found that there are actual biblical roots. So I discovered the verse from Luke, which I'll share in just a few moments. And this was really an aha moment for me. You know, that what? Stan Lee didn't come up with this? No freaking way. And that Jesus actually said it first. So quick background on how this phrase first appeared in the 1962 Spider-Man comic, written in the narrator's voice, who was actually Stan Lee. So he actually did the voices and the voiceover for the cartoons back in the 60s and 70s, which I always appreciated. Excelsior! He was such a cool icon during my time. But over the years, Uncle Ben became the canon for the comics. And by the time it hit the silver screen in 2002, that cemented this phrase into pop culture forever. And now it just shows up everywhere. You know, like politicians say it, or their versions of it. Business leaders, motivational speakers will literally quote it or, paraphrase it as well. But let's rewind about 2,000 years in Luke 12, verse 48. To whom much is given, much will be required. And in context, this story is about a master and his servants awaiting his return. And it's about responsibility. It's about being prepared and taking that responsibility seriously. We can frame this also as accountability. If you've been given knowledge, resources, or influence, you're responsible for using and stewarding them well. This also reminds me of the parable of the talents in Matthew 25, verses 14 to 30, where the master expects his servants to steward and be held accountable for the money he left behind for them. So 2 invest in it while he's away, and while 1 buries it, doing nothing with his talent. He literally buries his talent. And the Marvel version simplifies this, but the biblical version has an eternal weight to it. So in contrast, pop culture treats it like, hey, be responsible for your power. But in scripture, it says you are accountable to God for what he's entrusted to you. And these can be thought of or applied to leadership positions in businesses or leadership within your family, stewarding your wealth and your influence well, and you're taking your spiritual gifts or your talents and treating them responsibly. So personally, I feel a lot of weight in my responsibilities to either lead my family, lead the people within my company, and the growing community that we're building at Be Your Brand to glorify God. My duty is to steward this platform well that I have and to be responsible for the type of messages that I deliver. So the good thing is It's easy for people to think the Bible is outdated. I for sure thought that for 4 decades of my life. But when you find out that one of the most quoted lines in pop culture history actually comes straight from the Bible, it's encouraging to know that the Bible is as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. So next time you see or you think of this famous quote, remember, this isn't an Uncle Ben thing. This is not a Stan Lee thing at all. It's actually covered first in Luke 12:48. To whom much is given, much will be required. So you have a talent and a superpower. And are you taking responsibility for that superpower seriously? Drop a comment below. Let me know what your talent and superpower is. Also, what's your favorite superhero quote? And if you're a business owner looking to launch and grow your YouTube channel, you can email me at eric@honorbrands.com. That's it for me, folks. I'm Erik Cabral. I hope I added value in your life today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode.